Welcome to the Phone Arena video review of the Google Nexus One. Let's start with a quick unboxing and check out the contents. We have a very plain box, yet at the same time very stylish. Along the four corners, we find the Google colors. Opening the box reveals the device itself. Beyond this level, we have the neoprene pouch with a nice little Android. There's also the quick start guide for the device, telling us how to set it up for first use. Included in accessories are pretty bare bone and fairly standard. We have a micro USB adapter. Thankfully HTC has finally switched to this, as well as a micro USB data cable. Finally, we'll find the 3.5mm headphones. Again, we have a nice little touch of Android on these. There's also a 4GB micro SD card that is pre-installed in the device. Let's take a look at the device itself. Powering on the screen, we're greeted with Android 2.1 and an amazing 3.7-inch OLED display. The display is extremely bright and extremely vivid. The AMOLED technology means it can be viewed at just about any viewing angle without losing anything. It doesn't appear that it's translating so well on video, but to the naked eye, there's very little distortion as we move this around. When compared with the Motorola Droid screen, another beautiful panel, the AMOLED really stands out at extreme viewing angles. The 3.7-inch display makes navigating the device extremely nice. There's plenty of room to work with, and as you can see, it dominates most of the device. At the bottom, we simply have four touch-sensitive navigation buttons: back, menu, home, and search. It is curious to note that these are laid out exactly as they are on the Motorola Droid. We're not sure if this is some type of continuity Google is looking for, or if HTC has chosen to play along. We also have a small trackball, likely the exact same one found on the Droid Ares. It's noticeably smaller than the one found on the HTC Hero, at least the Sprint version. The side of the device simply has a volume rocker. On the top, we'll find the power button and the 3.5mm headset jack. The back offers Google and HTC branding and a large 5.0 megapixel camera with LED flash. The top right here houses the single speaker, which is surprisingly loud. You can also see another pretty inconspicuous dot here. This is actually a second microphone used for active noise cancellation. It's a very cool feature. It makes our voice sound a lot clearer to callers. The back slides off to reveal a large battery. It is rated for 7 hours of 3G talk time and 10 hours of 2G. We think these might be a little bit understated. However, your mileage may vary. We also find the 4GB micro SD card, which is expandable to 32 gigs, and the SIM card. This device is unlocked. It is compatible with T-Mobile's 3G service here in the US, but not AT&T's. We will see a European version of it as well. The feel of the device is a little bit awkward. It's similarly sized to the iPhone, with the large screen and big boxy angles. It's a little bit taller and a little bit narrower, but the one thing that gets us is that it's top heavy. The device seems to jump out of our hands when we're not paying attention. We naturally hold a phone like this when we're navigating, and the back of our hand is not quite supporting the full top of the phone. It doesn't seem like anything big, but it makes the device a little bit uncomfortable. We found that holding it upside down feels a lot better, and there's definitely some top heaviness to it. It's not our imagination. Another weird thing that we notice is the touch-sensitive buttons down below. Again, when held like this, we tend to press the top of them, and they work just fine. We did have some problems with the back button here and there, which was a minor annoyance. However, when the phone's sitting down, such as sitting on a desk, and we touch these buttons, they don't always work. We have a feeling that the sensor is actually near the top of them, so when we're coming down from the top versus coming up from the bottom, it activates it. This was more of an annoyance than the back button. As you can see, we can hit that area several times with no response. Still, we're being nitpicky here. For the most part, the Nexus One feels fantastic. When on a call, you tend to hold the phone more with your index finger extended, and it is extremely comfortable and very stable. The large screen feels great against your face, although it does pick up a lot of fingerprints and oils. We appreciate the trackball, as we've noted in past reviews, which allow us to move without using the touchscreen. This is especially handy when in text fields and trying to move back just 1 or 2 letters or picking a specific point. There are 3 things that set the Nexus One apart from other devices. First, as we covered, is the amazing AMOLED display. The second is Android 2.1, the newest version of Google's open source operating system. With 2.0, we saw a major visual overhaul, including new icons and an overall polish to the operating system that we hadn't seen before. 2.1 takes this a step further by adding very slick animations in 3D transitions. The first thing you'll notice is that the application drawer is now gone. It's replaced down at the bottom here by this grid. When we press it, you see the icons fly in a 3D motion. We also now have Home down below, something else that's new. Pressing that takes us back to the home screen with the icons flying out. These icons are arranged in a 3D cube. You can see them going off in the bottom, and as we scroll up here, you'll see them going off in the top and coming into focus from the bottom. All of these things don't really serve any major functional purpose, but it adds better visuals to make Android look more polished and more mature. A nice functional change is the addition of 5 home screens as opposed to 3. We've seen Motorola with their Motorola Blur interface do this, and HTC even take it a step further by going to 7. Personally, we feel that 5 is enough. On our Hero, we don't quite fill all 7 pages, although we can see some users having a need for that. A semi-cool feature is the fact that we can press on these little dots over here. It brings up a card view, which represents each screen. We can quickly jump back and forth between screens. While this is a cool feature, we don't really see a whole lot of function in it, as swiping from the first screen to the 5th really doesn't take all that long. What we much prefer to see is a true card view, like we see in Palm's WebOS, with running applications in the background, and a way natively to close these applications. The third thing that sets the Nexus One apart from other devices is the power plant. It is powered by a 1 GHz Snapdragon processor, only the second device on the market to boost this, and the first Android phone. It is noticeably faster than everything else out there. Even the Samsung Moment, with its relatively close 800 MHz processor, pales in comparison. We have a feeling some of this is hardware, and there's also 512 megs of both flash and RAM memory, as opposed to 256 and 512 on the Moment. Whatever the reason, we can fly through these menus. Everything is smooth. We haven't encountered any hiccups. Launching applications is quick. They load almost instantaneously. When compared side by side to the Motorola Droid, which was the previous reigning speed champion, the Nexus One is very noticeably faster. The Droid is only powered by a 550 MHz ARM8 processor, so that's to be expected. But there's a very stark difference. This also applies to the web browser. Pages load extremely quickly, and we had no problem loading even the most complicated of pages. For instance, our native website, phonearena.com, isn't the most simple page, but as you can see, it is loading very quickly. It doesn't quite have Flash support, although we all know that's coming with Flash 10.1. Once that happens, this will be the device to beat. One very sore spot in our eyes, however, is the lack of multi-touch support. We know the software supports it, we know the hardware supports it, so why is it not implemented? This is the same story on the Motorola Droid, and it appears that like the Droid and the Milestone, the European version of the Nexus One will indeed support multi-touch. Instead, we're left with double tapping and magnifying glasses to zoom in, zoom out. We have to say that this browser is probably the fastest we've ever used, even better than the iPhone. However, due to the lack of multi-touch support, it really holds the entire user experience back. In addition to the reworked interface, some of the applications have also been reworked as well. Most notably is the Gallery app, which houses the pictures and videos. As you can see, everything is now done with 3D layering. Google teamed up with the people at Cool Iris, who, if you're not familiar with them, have a very cool plugin for Firefox to make Google image search a lot more usable. Everything's done in 3D here. These albums are grouped not only by date, but also by location of where they were taken. As you can see, we can quickly scroll through this gallery. As we move the device, the pictured thumbnails also move with us. In these pictures, you can really see the color depth with the 3.7-inch AMOLED display. We're not sure how well this is translating into video, but this looks like a picture frame that we're looking at right now. Again, however, we do miss the multi-touch support here. It would be great to be able to pinch in to zoom through these pictures. All in all, though, this feels much more like a real application versus just the standard, here are your pictures, you can look at them app from previous Android versions. Another new feature is the News and Weather widget. You can see it here. We have the weather on the side, and we have constantly updated news and sports headlines. If we tap it, it opens the application. We can choose from different categories: entertainment, sports, US news, top stories, and weather. Here's a quick video demonstration of how the voice recognition works. As you can see, we're composing a text message. Now on the keyboard, we have the microphone icon. When we press that, it's going to prompt us. This is a test message to see how the new voice recognition program works on the Google Nexus One. It sends the information to Google servers over the air and then comes back with the results. Let's see how good they are. This is a test message to see how my new voice recognition program works on Google Nexus One. As you can see, not perfect, but pretty close. Overall, our results were way more than acceptable, and as Google no doubts refined the service, it'll revolutionize the way we send text messages. The Nexus One is an amazing device. There's no debate about that. It's one of the best devices on the market, and definitely the best Android device. It may even be better than the iPhone. However, we can't help but feel that Google's still holding back. Lack of multi-touch really hampers the user experience. Another asinine feature is the fact that Bluetooth cannot activate the built-in voice commands. One of the great new features of Android 2.1 is that every text field is voice-enabled, meaning you can dictate texts, emails, and the like. However, you can't do any of this over Bluetooth. In this day and age of safety on the road, it is unfathomable why something that simple is not supported. We really think that this device could be much better, and very easily so. In fact, a lot of software upgrades could fix these issues. Whether or not we see these is up to Google, but we sure hope they do.